Do you ever hesitate or feel like this concept I'm about to make it in 3D is really hard and then start doubting yourself, questioning yourself, asking how can I even begin sculpting this? Can I even do it? What if I can? This simple sphere in the beginning just frightens you, putting you in doubt that how the hell I am supposed to even begin. Well, this one rule which I have made into a habit will help you remove all these fears. The rule which I try to follow is use simple shapes but don't merge. Yes, use simple shapes but don't merge. What I mean by is start blocking out with basic primitives but don't dynamize it or merge it with booleans. I keep repeating this line in my head and just starts the blockout. The shapes can be anything, spheres, cylinders or even some base meshes if you want to. But don't merge it. Let it be infinite spheres if you want to. There is no limit on how much spheres you can use. With this method, you can be just free like a bird and not worrying about the final results. If it's a head, no problem. If it's a hand, no problem. Even if it's a gun, no problem. The goal is to match the silhouette of the reference as close as possible. It doesn't have to be perfect. The more it matches the silhouette, the more chances you see your model coming to life. And this feeling will earn you enough confidence to continue. With this practice, you will not just improve your blockout, but it will help you gain enough confidence to be hesitant free. And by making this a habit, you will be writing your own name in the list of successful artists. Because like a traditional artist, most digital artists start by blocking out their sculpt with simple shapes. Confidence is the most important thing a person needs to be able to approach what he fears. This habit will help you go out from your comfort zone because nothing ever grows there. Now for the blockout, I will share some tips with you guys which will make your blockout process more efficient. It might not work for everyone, but I recommend if you are a beginner, stick with these principles. Advice number 1. If you are using low poly geometry, I recommend using dynamic subdivisions on. Hit D to turn it on. It will give you a preview of smooth out geometry. It will not actually give you subdivision levels, but give you a temporary smooth preview. The difference between dynamic subdivision and normal subdivisions is you could see low poly geometry with high poly preview, but will have the result of low poly, making it more easier to handle with move brush. You can also duplicate geometry without this error, which only occurs if your mesh has actual subdivision levels and not dynamic subdiv. So for the blockout, I prefer turning dynamic subdivisions on. Advice number 2. I see many beginner mistakes where during the blockout stage, people just shy away to not using too many spheres. They just use 2 or 3, which always leads to stretching the mesh. Well, what I say is, if something is changing the silhouette, use a separate sphere for that. Also, do try to overlap shapes. Don't just block out like this, where 2 spheres touch. Try to overlap. With overlapping shapes, you will get more freedom compared to just touching the mesh with each other. Third advice I would like to give is try to change the ZBrush matte cap to skin shade 4 and use only polyframe mode. It will let you see the model with polygroups and it just feels right to have some kind of colors to your model rather than just pure grey all the time. This is personal preference, of course. I just prefer it this way. I do also polypaint my models in a pretty early stage, but I do that after merging the shapes when I decide not to change the silhouette of the character anymore and if I decide this will be the final design of my character. Fourth advice. People often ask me if I use perspective on or off. I usually turn it on, but I do change the focal length by going on to the draw option here. That way I get some kind of perspective but not strong enough to distort the canvas much. But if you are making the model for a 3D print, I recommend turning perspective off because for the 3D print, you would like to see the model without any perspective, so the measurement you are trying to get must be as close to accurate as possible. So turning perspective on for the 3D print might not work for you. Well, these are some tips I wanted to share with you guys and I hope you will try to follow them. At least try it once. You never know what can work for you and what not. Thank you for watching this video. I will see you on the next.